Hi, you rates, how are you? Welcome back to week 3 of history. Hopefully, everyone's going okay at home learning about history and the Spanish conquest and the Aztecs. Just like I said in my Japanese video, if you've already watched that one, I've reduced the amount of work that I'm expecting you to do each week. That way, people are not becoming too overwhelmed at home and everyone is completing their work on time. Thank you again to everyone for submitting the paper copies back to the school on time. I really appreciate it. That way, I can see what work you are up to. So, for this week, we are looking again at the everyday life of the Aztecs. We're looking into more detail about their religion, human sacrifice, and crime and punishment. So, we're still moving on with the Aztecs. Next week, in week 4 and also in week 5, we're going to look at the Spanish and how they discovered the Aztecs and what their interactions were like. On this page here is what was stapled or emailed to you on the front of your work. These are the things you need to complete this week. So you can see you only have 4 jobs to complete and tick off your list. Some of you may still need the 2 hours to complete your history work this week. Some of you may take less time. Your week 3 work is due to me by Friday afternoon. So same as usual, make sure you're submitting your paper copies or sending me pictures of your work so I can look at it, or emailing me your completed work. That is fine as well. So let's have a look at what we're doing for week 3. So our first page of week 3, we are just reviewing the map of the Mesoamerica area. So we already completed this map last week, and in week 1, I want you to make sure that you remember where we are in the world. So we're not in Europe anymore. We are between America, which is up here, and South America is down here. So this is the top part of Mexico, the USA is up here, and down here is Brazil and Peru. So we're in this middle joining bit of land, and of course we're actually quite zoomed in. See if you can remember from last week who lived in this area of the map and who lived in this area of the map there. If you need to look back at your old notes, you can, but there was only 2 that we labelled last week. What I want you to do down here is to read about and review the city of Tenochtitlan, which was the capital city of the Aztecs. This reviews the date range that we're looking at and also the city itself and who we're going to be talking about in this unit. All you have to do for 1B is highlight the important information and also read the Did You Know box. Down here, we're moving on to Aztec everyday life, crime and punishment. So in medieval Europe, in our unit we did last term, we looked at crime and punishment. So I thought it would be interesting to see what the Aztecs' crime and punishment was like. So what you need to do is read this information here and then answer the questions 2A and 2B. 2A, what are similarities between the Aztecs and medieval Europe in terms of death sentences and the examples of types of punishments they had? For example, if you were wearing cotton clothes, which was only considered a noble thing in Aztec classes in their society, that would be a death sentence. So, very similar things were punished very harshly. For example, remembering in medieval Europe, if you stole a loaf of bread, your hand would be cut off. In Aztec society, if you were wearing noble clothes when you were not a noble, then you would be punished with death. 2B is asking you to think a little bit further about the punishment about cutting down a living tree. So if you cut down a living tree and you're an Aztec person, you would be sentenced to death. Why do you think that was such a serious crime for the Aztec people? And I've given you a hint here. Think about trees as a very valuable source of protection, building equipment, and also food when they are alive. So the Aztecs were very conscious about cutting down too many trees. So why would that be such a serious crime there? The next section we look at about the Aztecs is their mythology and religion. Mythology is a word about myths, about gods, about the stories of their creation and their being. So Greek mythology looks at, Zeus and Hercules and things like that. We're going to be looking at the Aztec mythology. What you need to do for this paragraph here is highlight the key information and also make sure you look at this picture here. I've asked you in 3A to look at this structure and the description together. So we're looking at the picture of the temple and why it was built up into the sky. Why do you think the Aztecs built their buildings that high? The answers will be there for you. This is the second part of this part here. So see how I've got a small question here? This grey section continues on. So this is still about mythology and religion. I still want you to highlight the key information down in this passage here as well. This passage gives a lot of detail about human sacrifice, why the Aztecs thought human sacrifice was possible, what god were they worshipping when they completed human sacrifice, and what was the purpose of that. So question 3b, you'll find the answer up in here. Which god did the Aztecs feed human hearts to? Obviously, they didn't actually feed a god human hearts, but the act of human sacrifice was meant to symbolize that. Why was human sacrifice an important part of Aztec life? Why did the Aztecs think that dying as a warrior was better than dying from old age? And then I want you to use some dot points here to summarize the human sacrifice ritual. So in your medieval Europe assignment, I asked you to summarize the judgment of the glowing iron and summarize that act of going to the church, sprinkling holy water on the iron, sealing up the hand for 3 days, what that was meant to symbolize. In this case, we want to know why or how human sacrifice was done by the Aztecs. So just some dot points there about what that ritual was. Now, the last page of your work is a quiz. So your quiz is based upon all of the stuff we have learned about the Aztecs so far. If you're stuck, you may need to look back at your week 2 history notes about the Aztecs. So even if you don't have the week 2 notes about the Aztecs, you should be able to get through this anyway. So the first 3 are multiple choice questions. There may be more than one correct answer though. So if you feel like 2 of the answers out of the 3 are the correct one, then circle 2 of them or highlight 2 of them. So the Aztecs, blah, 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 the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan, and then the city itself. So this is talking about the city. So we did a lot of detail about that. And these parts down here are nice and easy, true or false. So put a circle around the T if you think it's true, put a circle around the F if you think it's false, or highlight. So you need to read the statement and then tell me what you think the correct answer is. The last question is a written one, number 5. What do you find the most interesting aspect of Aztec religion? Remembering that human sacrifice is a part of religion as well. So tell me what the most interesting thing was that you're like, oh, okay, and then why was that interesting to you? That's all you need to do for your history work for week 3. If you have any questions, please email me so I can help you. Remember, it's due by Friday, week 3. If you are submitting your work on paper and you can't get it to the school on time, you can take some pictures on your phone of your written work and email it to me. That option is also becoming popular with some other year levels as well. Have a good day and I'll see you guys soon.